guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my marathon series. So we are nearing the end of this series, and actually when this video goes live I will already be in Chicago and I will officially be about 24 hours out from the race, which is crazy. I am nervous, I'm excited, I just got all of this like nervous energy and I am just so ready to do this race. So in today's video I wanted to talk all about race day tips and just things that you want to be aware of or make sure that you do on race day, because let's be honest, it can get a little crazy. You know, you've worked up to this moment for months potentially, and it's nerve-wracking and it's exciting, and there's just a lot of, like I said, nervous energy, and it can be easy to like take a misstep or forget to do something or just kind of screw something up, and it can potentially throw, you know, a wrench in your race day morning. So it's definitely important to just keep these tips in mind to make sure that everything goes smoothly, there are no hiccups, and that you can get started on your race and feel good. Okay, so my very first tip is to make sure to eat dinner on the early side and get yourself in bed. So the reason you want to eat dinner a little bit earlier, like, you know, 5, maybe the latest 6 o'clock, is just because you want to give your, you know, digestive system plenty of time to do what it needs to do to digest that meal and make sure you're not going to bed on a full stomach, because then you can wake up with bloating and indigestion and just have an upset stomach, which you do not want on race day morning, especially when you throw nerves into the mix. It can just create a real mess down there. I also did a whole video on how to fuel before running, you know, as well as during and after. But when it comes to that meal the night before, it's like, you know, this myth really that you have to stuff yourself with pasta. And of course it is important to get some carbs in, you know, at that nighttime meal. It doesn't have to be pasta. Any carbs will work if you have a sandwich or if you have bread on the side of your meal or whatever. You definitely want to make sure you're getting carbs to top off your glycogen stores, but no, you do not have to stuff yourself to the gills with pasta, and actually that could end up hindering you. Don't overeat, eat until you are feeling satisfied and then stop, because again, we want to avoid any kind of indigestion issues. And then make sure to get in bed at a reasonable time. You want to try and get the best night's sleep possible. Chances are you're going to be nervous, and if you don't get a great night's sleep, don't sweat about it. You're going to have so much adrenaline the next day that it's not really going to affect you. But I will say that it is definitely important to try and focus on getting good quality sleep the week leading up, because you don't want to go into the race weekend feeling tired and just like kind of dragging. Okay, tip number 2 is to lay out everything that you need the night before. So that is your running clothes, your sneakers, your socks, your belt, your goose, your hat, whatever you're going to be taking with you and wearing on your body during the race. Make sure it is laid out, just so that way when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be groggy, it's going to be early, you're also going to be nervous. So you just want to make sure that you decrease that margin of error. You don't want to forget anything important. Your watch is another one. God, don't forget your watch. Just make sure everything you need is laid out so you can just easily grab it and you're not going to forget anything. Okay, tip number 3 has to do with fueling. So like I said, I've already done a whole in-depth video on this, but the most important thing here is do not try anything new. Stick to what you're used to as far as what you eat before the race. Maybe that's oatmeal, maybe that's toast, maybe it's a Cliff Bar, I don't know. Whatever your body is used to, whatever you've been relying on to fuel your long runs during training, eat that exact same thing, or at least something very similar. This is not the time to start experimenting, because like I said, you don't want to have any stomach issues, and you also want to make sure you're picking something that you know is going to agree with you and also fuel you throughout the race. So you want to make sure you're not trying anything new and just get those calories in. You may feel a little bit queasy just because you're so nervous, but just do the best you possibly can to just get that food down, because like I said, you're going to need those calories, you're going to need that fuel, so just do the best you can to get down that breakfast, even if you are feeling a little nervous and like you don't have much of an appetite. And of course you want to be drinking lots and lots of water too. Alright, tip number 4 is to arrive to the start early. You want to have plenty of time. You don't want to be rushing, because when you are rushing, it's just going to throw in so much anxiety and stress, and you may not get off to a very good start because you won't have time to calm down and really get in the zone and get focused on the race. So you want to make sure you get there with plenty of time to get rid of your bag and, you know, find your spot in line, your corral, all of that. And when you get to the start, go immediately to the porta potty line. Trust me, even if you don't have to go to the bathroom, just get in line, because I guarantee you by the time you are at least probably halfway through that line, you're gonna have to go, because you're drinking a lot of water, you're super nervous, you're at the very least, going to have to pee. So trust me on this, even if you don't have to go when you get there, just get in the porta potty line, because they always take forever. Okay, next tip is to not overdress, and by overdress I mean don't wear too many layers. It is so much better to be chilly at the start and feel like you're underdressed than be overdressed and have too many layers. So what a lot of people will do is they will wear, if it's going to be a little chilly in the morning, they will wear like a crappy long sleeve t-shirt, something they don't care about, so they can literally just toss it into the crowd. They don't care where it goes. If it gets thrown in the trash, it doesn't matter. So that's always an option if you feel like you're definitely going to be cold. But it is really important to not dress for like the morning temperatures, because when you're running, your body temperature, it feels like 20 degrees or so warmer than it actually is. So if you're dressed for like 50 degrees and then you start running and the actual temperature outside creeps up to 70 degrees, you're gonna be so hot. So you wanna make sure you're not overdressed, wear what's appropriate for what the temperature is gonna be like midday, and yeah, you'll be fine. Next tip is to go slow and steady at the start. This is so important because, like I've said a million times, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna have all this anxious energy, and when you are standing in line at the start, the air is literally electric. All of those people around you, all, you know, with their nervous energy, it's just like, it is one of the craziest feelings, honestly. It's insane. So when you start running, when you finally cross that starting line, you are gonna be so filled with adrenaline that it's gonna be so easy to go well above your normal pace. But it is so important to avoid doing that. Force yourself to go slow, really be mindful of your pace and make sure that you're not going too fast, because even going like 15 to 30 seconds over your comfortable or your desired race pace can burn through your stores really quickly. So you're gonna feel that way later on in the race. So like I said, make sure you're mindful, really pay attention, take some deep breaths, get in your normal pace, and don't let all the excitement and adrenaline and energy around you, you know, force you to go way faster than you're comfortable with. And my next tip is just to believe in yourself, be positive. You've made it this far. If you've gotten through your training, you are prepared for this race and you are ready for it. Trust me when I say the actual training itself is typically more difficult than the race, even though the race is your longest distance, because when you're running the race, you have so much adrenaline. There are people cheering you on, there are people around you running. There's just this sense of camaraderie and support, and it's just so motivating. So it's just actually a lot easier to run the race because you have all of that support, versus when you run, you know, your 17, 18, 20 mile runs probably by yourself, you had to really keep your mind occupied. But when you're running the race, you don't have to work so hard to do that because there's so much around you that's going on that it just makes it a lot more enjoyable. Okay, and lastly, as far as how I am feeling, how my training is going, at this point my training is done. I actually completed my final training run this morning, so training is check complete, and now it is time to just run that race. So where my head is at, how I'm feeling, I'm honestly very excited. Now the nerves are starting to set in. I wasn't nervous all week. I actually didn't think it would hit me until I was in the city of Chicago. But now every time that I think about it, because it's like 2 days away, I'm just like, oh my god, okay, this is happening, it's real, and like my stomach I get like butterflies. So I'm definitely starting to get nervous, but that's good. I like being nervous because it really makes me like be aware of and like hone in on what I'm about to do, because any long distance run that I go into where I'm feeling a little cocky and like, oh, I've already done this and like way longer, like I'll be fine, like it's not going to be too bad, I typically end up having kind of a hard run because I'm not focused and I'm not like, I feel like I'm not like respecting the distance and how difficult it can be. So nerves for me are good. I like being nervous. It makes me just get in the zone. But I think I'm gonna have a good race. It's gonna be a little on the warm side, maybe. Definitely sunny, which is not the most ideal. Chillier is always good, but that's okay. I've trained in the heat all summer and it's not supposed to be as hot as some of the runs that I've done. So that should be okay. As far as timing goes, I'm expecting this race to be like maybe a little bit slower, possibly than the first marathon I did. The finishing time for my first marathon was 4 hours and 35 minutes, which is like crazy to think that I ran that long. And I'm about to do it again. But my training this time around, I feel like on average I was just like a little bit slower, so I'm just kind of expecting to be a little bit slower in the race. I mean, we'll see what happens. But honestly, I could care less about time. Like I really could, and I'm truthful when I say that. For me, feeling good during the race and like actually feeling like I can do this. Like I'm smiling, I'm feeling good, I've trained, like I've taught my body to be able to do this and handle it is so much more satisfying for me than like shaving a few minutes off my time or getting a PR. And that's just me. Like some people live for the PR, and I think that's awesome. Like if that's your motivation, get after it. That's just not my motivation. I just don't really care about it, to be honest. I'd rather finish with a smile on my face and felt like I had a good run, and I actually kind of enjoyed it, which is how my first one went. So fingers crossed that's how it goes this time around. But yeah, not really too worried about time. I am just excited to do this damn thing. Oh, and one more thing. Tapering is the weirdest thing ever. It makes you like question whether or not you can actually do it. I mean, tapering is all part of the process. You gotta trust the process. But basically, I went from running like, I mean, a lot of miles every week. I don't even know, like 30 plus miles for sure, probably every week, or at least close to that. And in the last couple, like this last week, my total was like 7 miles, which is just like a huge difference. So I'm used to running a lot. And when you start tapering, you feel like you're not running at all. And you start to think like, can I actually still do this? But you totally can. It's all part of the process. You've got to give your body a rest so it can really gear up for this long race. So just wanted to make that little note in case anyone else feels that way while they're tapering. But that is it, guys, for this episode in my marathon series. I will be vlogging the weekend of the marathon this weekend while I'm in Chicago. I don't know how much footage I'm gonna actually get. I mean, I'm not bringing my camera with me while I'm running, but maybe on my phone I could, but I'm like kind of worried about it dying, so I don't know if I'll be on my phone too much, you know, during and right before the race. But I'm gonna vlog as much as I can during the weekend so I can share that with you guys. And yeah, so stay tuned for that. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see all of my upcoming videos. And of course, you can follow me on social media. Definitely follow me on Instagram. I will be on there all weekend long, you know, documenting our being in Chicago along with vlogging. But yeah, that's all I have. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Kidding. You got me woke up. The way you roll that, sticky like okra. Just let me coach ya, show you about my culture. It's a late night show like Conan. Bitch,